Hey there, this is John from Heroes and Legends, and welcome to another edition of This Week in Magic the Gathering. So we got a number of topics to tackle this week. First off, we're going to look at the new metagame in Standard and how the Columbus Star City Game Standard Open shaped up this past weekend. We'll also look at some new Judges promos, which are very exciting, and we'll wrap up the show by examining yet another legal action that WotC has taken against a member of the community, and hopefully get your opinion on that. So let's start off by looking at Star City Games Columbus Open. Alright, so first off, congratulations to Jacques, who won the Open with 4-color Rally. Now, we're going to look at some of the decks in the top 8, and I'm going to point out just some things that I found interesting in the decks. One thing you're going to notice when you compare this top 8 to last week's, there's a lot of changes. Last week, it seems like people were a little more willing to take some risks with trying out the new cards and playing around with some new archetypes. This is more of a return to some of the old archetypes. However, for the most part, these have been enhanced with at least a fusion of some of the new Oath cards, which no doubt make these decks even better than they were. So that's not unusual. Typically, that's what you see. The first week, everyone's trying different stuff. The next week, people start to fall back into what they're comfortable with and finding ways to enhance decks they know are great. We'll continue to follow this as, of course, the metagame will continue to evolve. But let's take a closer look at a few of these decks. First off, coming in second was Bat Company, third Abzan Blue, fourth was Red Black Dragons, fifth was 4-Color Company, and then 6th was a Black-White Control, 7th Jeskai Black, and then Mardu Tokens wrapped up the top 8. So we're going to look at a few of these deck lists. First one, let's look at Jeskai Black. You'll notice that there's a few changes from the traditional Jeskai Black, and that's a couple Reflector Mages stand out, as well as a couple Goblin Dark Dwellers. And on top of that, we have 2 copies of Chandra Flamecaller. So this deck has benefited, I think, quite a bit from Oath, and you'll see a nice fusion of some of the new cards. Let's take a look at Black-White Control next, and this came in 6th place. The big story here, I think, is for Matter Reshapers. Matter Reshaper continues to be a card that I think will definitely see play going forward. There's also one of Spatial Contortion here, but those are the big pieces of this deck and really kind of make this deck a thing. Next we have Abzan Blue, and you're going to start seeing a trend here. We have 3 Reflector Mages in this one, and other than that, nothing that really jumps out as a huge card from Oath. A lot of the older cards are here. And let's move on to the deck that came in number 2, Bat Company. And again, we're going to see this time 4 Reflector Mages. We also get 4 Sylvan Advocates in this one. And then finally, of course, the winning deck. And again, we're going to see 4 Reflector Mages. So if you take nothing else from this, Reflector Mage is making a huge impact right now in the metagame. I think it will continue to. It's just such a great card. It makes playing white and blue very desirable just because of its power level for its cheap casting cost. And I will say I'm glad this is an uncommon. It's not a mythic. It's not going to be a $60, $70 card. So yay, finally you have a card that is going to play a big role in the metagame and isn't going to cost $1 million to get 4 of. So that's pretty exciting for me. So keep an eye out on the metagame. Of course, we'll continue to do reports every week that there's major tournaments. It will continue to evolve and shift, no doubt. But next week coming up, we'll have the Pro Tour for Modern. So we'll get a little bit of a break from Standard as the focus will shift to the Modern format and how that has changed and evolved since the banning of Summer Bloom and Splinter Twin. All right, so let's take a look at the new Judges promos next. So about a week ago, WotC showcased the next couple of Judges promos, and they're actually pretty cool. Judges promos are always pretty epic. First, let's look at Command Beacon. Now, the big thing to notice here is it has the colorless mana symbol. I think that's what really makes this one stand out from previous copies. And there you have it. It's pretty cool, especially if you're a Commander player. The next one, though, I think is the one that had everybody talking, and that's Rashad Import. This was sort of spoiled a little while ago because it appeared in a package that a retailer got. One of these slipped into that package, so it wasn't officially spoiled, but it was kind of out there that this was coming. And here it is. The art is really magnificent. I really like the art on this. It looks awesome, and this is a very pricey card. It's from Mercadian Masks. It was never reprinted. Getting a non-foil will run you some money. Getting a foil will run you a lot of money. So again, much like Mana Drain, which we saw not that long ago be revealed as the judge's promo. This is another really big card that's going to be very sought after by a lot of players. So this is real cool. I love this type of thing because I think judges definitely deserve it. They don't really get compensated probably fairly for the time they put in most cases. So this is a nice thing that I think Wizards does for them. I wish Wizards did more stuff like this for, even if not just a small part of the community, but for the community as a whole. Obviously, I don't expect everybody to get mana drains and Rishon imports, but kind of makes me wish that the old Wizards reward system was still around. The cards you got there weren't necessarily as epic as these, but they were still very cool, and it was a nice thank you for participating in organized play. But that's a story for another day. Right now, hey, just take a look at these cards. I mean, they really look cool. The last topic we're going to talk about today is another kind of odd, awkward legal action that WotC's taken against a community member. So let's just kind of jump in. I'll tell you the full story and what you're looking at on the screen here. Basically, there's a website, and I'll be honest, before I saw this, I wasn't real familiar with it. It's called rawgit.com, and I guess the idea is it's a place where you can put graphics, things of that nature on there. If anyone knows more about it, definitely put in the comments below and let me know. But it sounds like it's a site you can just kind of upload graphics and stuff, and then you just share them with whoever wants them or the community. In this case, an individual put up some graphics that were Magic the Gathering related. In particular, the graphics that the company had an issue with were the mana symbols, which we saw this about a week ago with Reddit losing their mana symbol flare, and also the set symbols are the two things that were pointed out, and they were asked to remove the content from the site. So, it opens up a series of questions. First off, what you're looking at on the screen is what the person posted as the message that they got. Now, I usually would leave a link to something like this. However, at the bottom, and I have removed it here, they had the person's name and contact information, telephone number and stuff, so I didn't really want to share that and kind of put them on blast. So I removed that, and I won't have a link, but obviously I found it, so it's still out there. I'm sure if people really wanted to find it, it's there. But this is the message that they received, and I won't read it verbatim, but basically it's just saying they're a legal representative. This is a paralegal from Wizards of the Coast, and they asked them to remove the content, specifically the mana symbols and set symbols for Magic the Gathering, and kind of goes on with some legal speak to say this is all the information that they're aware of is correct as far as they know, so on and so forth. And then they thank them for their consideration. And here's the part that I found a little awkward. We'll talk more about this in a moment. After the signature, which I removed, there was a quote from Shakespeare, from King Lear. "Come not between a dragon and his wrath." King Lear, William Shakespeare. So a couple things I want to say about this. First off, if you listen to my videos before, you're aware that I did work for a major company, and intellectual property was a huge part of that company, and there's a lot of things that company did over the years and had to do to make sure that they could protect their intellectual property, and I totally understand the importance of that. Without your intellectual property, you start to lose hold of what makes you as a company or creator special, and you can't have that happen. So here's the thing. Mana symbols 99.999% of the time are going to be used for benign things or for things that are really helping Wizards, like promotion. For the most part, this site was really to help content creators create content and put stuff out there for their articles or videos or what have you. And 99% of the time, that's good press for Wizards, and nothing wrong with that stuff going out. However, people can also use that stuff to create their own collectible trading card game if they wanted to. I mean, we saw recently on Reddit somebody created a Star Wars themed Magic the Gathering game, and it was really cool. Now, they were just kind of giving that away for free, and it was a nice little thing that they created for the community, and I think it was really awesome. As far as I know, Wizards didn't have any issue with that. But somebody could take mana symbols or what have you, and they could make a game and try to sell it and actually try to make it compatible with Magic. And that's where Wizards can get themselves into a bad situation, and that's what they're trying to prevent. If you look at the video game industry, it's probably one of the better examples of it. Nintendo went maybe a little too far trying to keep the rights to their system and keep everything in-house and try to make sure that the products going out with a Nintendo name were very high quality. And one of the things they did was, if a third-party company wanted to make a Nintendo game, they had to get permission from Nintendo, and they had to have special deals in place and their special revenue deals and so on and so forth. And Nintendo would also have to approve the quality of the game and what have you. Well, over time, companies found ways to hack the system and start putting out games that were not approved and didn't have any deals with Nintendo. Of course, there were legal battles, and the battle persisted. How far is Nintendo really able to keep companies from making products to use on their system? Is that okay? Is that not okay? So this reminds me a little bit of that, maybe not to the same extreme. But where Nintendo kind of went off the rails, especially in recent years, is they did start to kind of attack even content creators that were displaying their music from their games or footage from their games and wanted to get a cut of that, basically. Even though this was free advertising for Nintendo, that wasn't good enough. They kind of came down hard on content creators. However, the popular content creators, they did treat a little differently than content creators that were maybe new or not as popular. And I think that's what this type of thing worries me when I see it. I hope it never gets to this point, but it's a slippery slope. Once Wizards is going out there and saying, hey, you can't have our mana symbols, you can't have our set symbols, well, where does that end? Because if you look at any site that sells Magic cards, Channel Fireball, Star City Games, all the major sites, they have the set symbols on there. That's how you click to find the cards you're looking for, right? They're very prevalent on those sites. And I don't think Wizards wants to go after Star City Games and say, take down our expansion symbols, but they went after this guy and said, take down our expansion symbols. So where's the line? It starts to become a situation where even down the road, Wizards could decide which content creators that they support and will give the appropriate content to, and which content creators they would flag for unauthorized use of their materials. And that's a scary world. That's where we don't want to get to. Now, will that come to that? I hope not. I don't think so. I think they're smarter than that. I think they realize that content creators, like I said, most of the time are doing them a huge benefit for free. But we don't know. We don't have any guarantees at this point, which is a little bit awkward. As far as Wizards being more transparent and communicating better, this is something I hope we hear some communication on in the future, because this felt really awkward to me. And like I said, I totally get protecting the copyright. I totally get that part of it, especially where mana symbols are concerned. I get it. But it's a little strange that they came down in this one particular area, especially taking it now from mana symbols to set expansions starts to get a little crazy. Personally, when I make videos and content, all the information and graphics and stuff I get come from the mothership. So it's stuff that's on their website or on their WPN website, which kind of goes out to retailers and people to be able to make marketing material and stuff. So where does that end? Is it okay for retailers but not okay for content creators? We don't know right now. We don't know what they're thinking right now, and we haven't really heard. We just kind of saw this occur and the weird thing with the Reddit flare occur. So where's this going? We don't know. We don't know at this point. So something to chew on for you guys. Like I said, is what it is. I hope it doesn't go any further than this. I hope that this is something that they just continue to try to protect the main pieces of their game, which would be mana symbols. I totally get that. And they don't just start kind of willy-nilly going after people who are putting content out there to really enhance their marketing is what they're really doing in most cases. As far as copyright laws and stuff, copyright laws in this country are incredibly archaic to begin with. And yeah, there are thoughts out there that, well, if you don't protect your copyright all the time, then you can't protect it. That's not 100% true. Not to get into the whole thing, but there are times you do have to protect your copyright or you could lose some ground. But then there's times where you can allow other parties to use things if it's going to be mutually beneficial. So anyway, the last thing I wanted to talk about this was the quote at the very end. Come not between a dragon and his wrath, King Lear, William Shakespeare. So if this is a paralegal for Wizards of the Coast, and they are going out there and asking somebody kindly to remove this particular site or the items on this site, the last thing you want to do as a company is come off as arrogant or come off as being the bad guy or give anybody any sort of ammunition against you. You really want to look like you're doing this for the right reasons, and it's very hard to to sympathize with Wizards of the Coast when they kind of put this little quote on the end, which is almost like a little kind of stab in the side, just this kind of little, hey, don't mess with us, don't get between the dragon and his wrath. And they kind of come off looking unprofessional, a little bit like the bad guy here, and unprofessional if somebody were to read into this and they really want to make a bigger deal out of it than it probably is. Again, my experience from a major company, if I was the leader that worked with this paralegal or with this individual, I would ask them to remove that line, because it just makes us look unprofessional and it gives people ammunition against us. I would simply say, look, I get it, it's cute, but I would prefer that you keep all your correspondence professional and informational in the future. I don't want anyone to either get the wrong idea and because of that get more upset and retaliate, or for us to just look like the bad guys are steamrolling over people. And so I find that quote very unprofessional, quite honestly, and not good business. And that's just my take on it from my experience. So that's the only thing I'd say that about this particular correspondent that I find awkward or strange. Let me know what you guys think in the comments below, because this is an unusual one. This one's weird, and we haven't heard anything since of Wizards going after anybody. But it just seems like one of these things just pops up every week or two now, and I'm just a little concerned about what direction this is going in. And I hope we get some communication from Wizards. They promised they would be more transparent, give us more communication, so I hope we get that. So having said that, that is the episode this week. I don't have any questions and answers this week. Of course, this episode's kind of gone long enough. But if you have any questions for me for a future show, please put them in the comments below and I will answer them in a future episode. So as always, hey, thanks for watching. Please remember to like and subscribe, and have a great day.
Hey, thanks as always for watching. This video, like all my videos, was made possible by the generous support of viewers like you on Patreon. Even a donation of $1 helps me to keep growing this community and creating better quality videos for all of you. Check out our Patreon page for exclusive giveaways and future goals for the channel. If you haven't had a chance yet to subscribe, hit that subscribe button so you don't miss any of the MTG news, spoilers, set reviews, product openings, or finance videos on Heroes and Legends. Talk to you again soon, and have a good day.